Hello, welcome to Waypoint Survival. Today, let's talk about another shelter option using the tarp. Stay tuned. In my last two videos, I talked about a one-sided shelter with that flying wedge. All right, so here we go. We've got a great shelter because it's 6 feet by 8 feet. I also talked about two-sided shelter using the classic A-frame. I have a lot of room. I've got enough room at my feet for my backpack, so I can scoot back this way and be pretty comfortable. And today we're going to talk about a shelter which still technically only has two sides, but it also only has one opening. And so we're going to get to that. We're going to drop the pack and we're going to set it up right here behind us. So let's get with that and we'll start to show what that looks like. And drop that. And then get, of course, the shelter off the bottom, which I showed you in the last couple of videos. There we go. Set this down. All right. Open it up. Again, just tied with a simple cord, a loop, and very, very simple. Nothing fancy. All right, and again, very same stuff as I had the last time. We roll it open here. We have our stakes, and we have the rest of our cord, and other than the tent poles, stakes, and then of course our cam jams, and then our windshield dash protector we use for our sleeping mat. Protect us from the ground, give us something to lay on. Alright, and of course we have the standard 6x8 heavy-duty tarp from Home Depot. For this particular shelter, of course we open it up the very same way, the silver side down, the brown side up, maximum reflection from our heat, body heat, and all of that. And we want to lay it out in sort of a triangular fashion, like this. Alright, now the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take one of our stakes and we're going to stake the very back corner down. Just like this. Went all the way to the ground. Just like that. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to come up here and we're going to raise this so that we have kind of a point like this. Now what's unique about this setup is I'm going to be using both cam jams. And you can see this is pretty high because we've got our length here. The other way with the A-frame it wasn't quite as long, but on this one we can use 3 of our tent poles put together for this particular arrangement here and have plenty of room. So that's what we're going to start with right there. Next, we're going to take one of our cam jams, like we did last time. I'm going to put it in here, like we showed you. So there's one. And now most of the time with this particular type of shelter, which is called a plow point, you can do it to a single tree or a single post in the ground, and that's fine. But the way I'm going to set it up today is so that we can have a bit of a fire in front. So I'm going to use both cam jams, and I'm going to set our guy lines out, one to one side and one to the other. Since we have both of them, it's not really a problem. Alright, so there we have our basic setup. Alright, so for our next setup, we have 2 more of our stakes. We're just going to take this one here, and we're going to pull this out and stretch it taut, just like that. Push this in the ground. Got that. And then we're going to take this side, and we're going to fold this under, just like this. And we're going to fold it under. Now, A problem that I have is the same that we had before, is that there is no hole right here where I want it. But that's not a problem. I have these great tarp clips. So all I have to do is find the exact spot where this is fairly square, just like this, and uniform, and take this tarp clip, fasten it on. So as you can see, all I'm doing is I'm finding the spot where this is nice and straight. We might call it the sweet spot. Now I'm not going to put it on the side here. I want to put it on the bottom. So down here where this bend is, I'm going to put it on right in here, because that's going to be my stakeout point. And then I'm going to tighten it up using the little nut here. Just tighten it. Get it real good and tight. Alright, so now that we have our tarp clip on there, tightened down real good, let's pull it out. And we're going to just put another stake in it, just one of our cheap 59-cent stakes. I'm going to push that down in the ground, just like that. So now that we have that clip down on that side, we want to make sure that everything's nice and strong and straight, and so we can just pull these cam jams, make sure everything is nicely shaped. We want to try to keep it as uniform as possible for shedding the water. As you can see, there's a pretty fair amount of room in there, and we've got one part of the tarp folded under, just the one corner, which does give us a little bit of extra protection from the ground to throw our gear onto if we should so desire. Of course, we're going to put our windshield dash protector in here, silver side up. And as you can see, this type of shelter is a lot bigger in height than the simple A-frame. It's a lot easier to get in and out of, and I've got plenty of room for my feet in the back, and I've got plenty of coverage for a rain that would come down. And this way I only have an opening on one side. And so I can put my backpack and gear over here, and I've got plenty of room over here on this side as well. Our shelter's up, we've got our fire pit ready, and I put some old ashes down here from another fire to help protect the ground from scorching. And even though it's not important out here, I can have a fire anywhere I want to, but still like to protect the environment as much as I can. But it's kind of centered with our tarp, and it's about one step away from the front of my shelter, which is a good rule of thumb for a fire, not putting too many sparks and too much smoke into your shelter or onto your tarp and burning it up. So we're going to use a little bit of jute here that I fluffed up, just jute twine, and then literally 3 small slivers of fat wood. And I do mean slivers. I take my fat wood and split it up using my knife, and this is all I need to get a fire started with some twigs. A lot of times, even in really wet weather, this of course is a wonderful thing to have and to own. So we've got our jute twine here, and we're going to put the ferro rod down in here. We've got to keep our little fat wood slivers real handy, and so we want to make sure we can just lay that on top as soon as we get a good spark. And as a matter of fact, we may even wish to lay them crisscross fashion on top before we even spark it. That way we make sure that we don't lose any time when this flames up to that being able to catch fire and burn. So using proper ferro rod technique, we hold this down and we give it a good scrape, and there we go. And once our fat wood gets burning, then we can go ahead and add to it. And of course, we have our very fine twigs here. We'll go ahead and place them on top. Get that going. And we just continue to build our fire accordingly. The nice thing about this shelter too is that it's big enough to set up in the entrance here, and so if I want to do some cooking, I can just scoot up to the front here. I've still got some coverage overhead, and I can reach out here and I can do my cooking on my fire and stay warm. And so this is just a really great shelter option for any kind of inclement weather. So let's just go around the shelter here. Give you an idea what it looks like from different sides. There, of course, the ridge line coming down the back stake, and then just on around the other side. And then you can see I have quite a bit of room in there. It extends pretty far back. Backpack and a little bit of the tarp folded over. Just a really great shelter option for a 6x8 tarp. This is James Bender for Waypoint Survival. Please like, share, and subscribe. Make sure and check out the links in the description box below. And don't forget to press the bell button to stay notified of all of our upcoming videos. And we'll talk to you next time.